I'm Al McFarlane. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to a special evening edition of Conversations with Al McFarlane. We're setting up for a special town hall meeting at the North Community YMCA, meeting of Minnesota Safe Street, a meeting of significant importance right now, given the fact that our city and the world are looking at the question of justice, the question of equity, and the question of how do we build fairness, access, and opportunity for our community. I'm pleased to be working in partnership with the organization Safe Streets of Minnesota, Minnesota Safe Streets, that's the proper name. And before we begin, I want to ask the organizer of the event, Brother Al Flowers, if he can come up to the camera. Al, if you're there and can come up to the camera, let's do this as a beginning way to begin the conference and begin this town hall meeting. And if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, we are pleased that you're with us. We want you to share the fact that we're having this meeting and let people know this conversation, this town hall meeting is going on right now. Can you bring Al to the front, Al Flowers to the front, to help us launch this? We're live now on YouTube and live on Facebook. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. Now, Al Flowers, are you there? So, Brother Al Flowers, I know we're still organizing and getting people in place for this town hall, but I'd like to have a pre-conversation with you. Al, are you there? Is Al there? Is Al here? Can you ask Al Flowers to come up in front of the microphone and just talk? Are you all hearing me okay? Al Flowers, how you doing, man?
Yeah, they're perfect.
Al, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. And welcome everybody again to a special edition of Conversations with Al McFarlane. The co-convener of this evening's event is Al Flowers. Al, if you're able to hear me, I want you to talk about what our mission is tonight. What are we going to discuss and what people will learn from being in this town hall meeting this evening. Al, can you hear me and can you begin?
Hey, Commissioner Hodges.
Al, go ahead.
Hey, can you get Commissioner Hodges up here? And Glenn along with Glenn? Yes. That's just like the police, huh?
Al Flowers.
Yeah. A little bit more.
Al?
Hey, good evening.
Go ahead, Al. We're live. We're live to Facebook and live to YouTube right now. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is a meeting that I tried to organize, working with collaborations like the Unity and Community Mediation Team. It's a team that works with Chief Arredondo trying to come up with the solutions for the city of Minneapolis and just saying how we got to be together. If we're going to make a safe city, we got to be together. Not only do we have to work with law enforcement, we have to work with each other, and that's why Minnesota Safe Street is here, partners, collaborative partners from Minnesota Safe Street. You're going to hear from them. They came here. I asked the majority leader to come here, Ryan Winkler, and the CEO of the RIDE, Glen Gunderson, and the executive director of this RIDE right here, or he might be more than that, but I know he's over this, and he gave us this space to do this today. And I also got AC Hodges here. AC Hodges is just here for a momentary time. He just came over to say words of encouragement to this team, because he's met with the Safe Street partners and the mediation partners. So we're going to start off, and I'm going to start this off and let the guests introduce themselves. Some of the Safe Street partners met with Glenn and Rich, but the mediation team met. And I feel like the whole collaboration is with all of us together if we're going to make this happen and make this city a better place. So I'm going to start off and ask the majority leader to let you know who he is, to come up and let you know who he is, and then they'll be followed by Glen Gunderson, and then Rich, who's Rich Belzer, who's been helping us as we move through this process. And then after they speak, before I let the organization get up and say what they do, the majority leader Winkler and who their organization is, we're gonna have words from Assistant Commissioner Hodges, and then we'll have that conversation where y'all get to have conversation about what you're going through in mediation and the Safe Street partners, just to introduce them to Majority Leader Winkler. So I'm gonna start with our Majority Leader, Brian Winkler. Yes.
So Representative Winkler, can you hear me?
Thank you for coming out and being willing to meet with me. I just want to start by saying where I come from and coming into this conversation tonight. So first of all, I represent Legislative District 46A, which is very close to here. It's Golden Valley, St. Louis Park, borders on Minneapolis. As a majority leader of the State House, I am basically the number 2 person. The Speaker of the House is the leader. I'm number 2 as majority leader. We have a DFL House, we have a Republican Senate, and as you know, we have a DFL governor. So we are in the middle of our budget setting session. We've got some money to be able to allocate for new things based on a little bit of a surplus, and we have billions of dollars of federal money coming in. And so this meeting for me started with a meeting with Al to talk about a bill, like we often do. Let's take 15 minutes to talk about a bill that's coming up and they try to sell us on it and get us committed to it. And then we try to learn about it and see if it's the kind of thing we want to support and move along. Well, for me, that 15-minute meeting, it was obvious that a longer conversation was necessary and that there were a lot of people that I would like to get to know and build relationships with, so that as I'm helping to lead DFL representatives in the State House, that we are representing as best we can all of the needs, all the concerns in the communities that we represent, including in Minneapolis. So even though I don't represent Minneapolis, the success and the safety of the city, the people who live in the city are of central concern to all of us. So I come to this from a standpoint of trying to be an ally for the city of Minneapolis, to try to make sure that public safety is a reality for everyone in the city, not just something that we, pass a bill and say we're funding public safety. We actually want it to be real, and that means we do need reform. It means that we do need an effective police department or a Department of Public Safety or Department of whatever you want to call it that is out there making sure that people are safe, but also making sure that they are respecting people's civil rights, making sure that we are not reacting to everything that happens in the city with a show of police power. So I want to know more about your organizations. I want to know more about the specifics of what's happening. I want to better understand what you are doing so that when we craft budget solutions that help provide funds, that we know what we're doing and that we are in relationship with you when we're doing it. So that's why I'm here, to learn, to get to know you, and to try to be a better advocate for the people of Minneapolis as a statewide elected leader. All right, thanks.
Well, thanks for being here. My name is Glen Gunderson. I serve the YMCA of the North as Executive Director, and got one of my partners here in Rich Melzer. Really appreciate all of you and all of you being here for this important time and this important topic. And we are humble partners of Minnesota Safe Streets. We came together now over the last several weeks The YMCA has been a community strengthening agency for over 150 years in this community. It came to Minneapolis in 1866, and we care about our families. We care about our young people. And so I'm coming at this wanting to learn, wanting to connect more with our families, wanting to connect more with those that we're serving in the community. And we are really blessed by the partners and the structure of partnership that we're seeing come together with Minnesota Safe Streets. This is an important topic, not just here in our North community, but across the river on the St. Paul side and throughout the state. We want a safe place for our young people to grow up and to engage and to learn and to become just vital leaders for our community. We really grateful for the majority leader here and our commissioner. And we, I would say that as a Y, we have the center as one example or one way in which we're reaching out to community. We have our Youth and Family Services team that has 60 some odd life coaches and social workers that are out working with young people, those that maybe are coming into juvenile justice or we're helping them kind of get back out, those that are homeless or highly mobile, those young kids who may be at risk for being pulled into the trafficking environment or sex trade. These are really important times to work on these tough issues. And so this, we feel, is one of the most important things we can do, that we can come alongside you as partners to ensure that our community is a safe community for all. So thank you so much for being here. We look forward to continuing the dialogue. And with that, you want the commissioner, I know you have limited time.
Rich,
Rich, okay.
Great. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. Like you, I'm a field agent, right? I got my feet on the ground, and we're embedded in this community. And to tell you a little about where you're at, for years, this was one of the only exclusively youth-serving YMCAs in the United States, which has now transitioned in partnership with Safe Streets and this coalition to be a centralized location to serve. We have Mother's Love here. We have Safe Streets, obviously, and other organizations where we can touch our tentacles now and start to provide resources with one another and really start to have an influence and make some meaningful change. So where the space you're in now is very meaningful to this community, but not only that, to the city of Minneapolis and the Twin Cities. And I want to be a real advocate for you all in saying that if you need information, if you need resources, this is a space where you can feel comfortable and reach out to me personally anytime. So thanks for having us. Thanks for coming.
What you got me up here for? First and foremost, I just want to thank Al and the community mediation team. I'm going to embarrass him for a second before I get started. I'm really proud of Al, and I think a lot of people might not understand like why personally I'm proud of Al. For many of you don't know, Al got a get her done, GED, and to watch this brother, build up and watch him develop over the years. I mean, it's been to doing this. I mean, come on, man. I mean, 20 years ago. Now look, you got that mask on, so don't start saying that. Reverend Bethel, Mark, Zach, I mean, people who've been around and doing this work forever. And I can't thank you enough. And I jokingly told my kids when I came in this building, now I grew up in the North Side Projects, the bricks. And I can literally count how many times I've been in this building on one hand, right? Because seriously, the kids who grew up in the bricks couldn't afford to come into the YMCA. Oh, where's the camera? Oh, sorry, Al, man, you should be watching. Wait. So the kids who grew up in the bricks couldn't afford to come into the YMCA, right? So I'm glad to see that how that's changed now. So in terms of public safety, in my role, I oversee the Minnesota State Patrol, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and the Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division. And I was also a member of the community mediation team, and I jokingly say to these guys, when we signed that agreement, I was the youth representative. And we're back at the table. I'm 43, right? And I was a youth representative. We're back at the table dealing with that. So for me, I can tell you what I've learned since I've been in law enforcement, since I've gone. And I just want to relay this message to y'all, and you can take it for what it's worth. When we were battling, we'd always say, we need to speak truth to power. We need to speak truth to power. No, we don't. You need to become power. That's the solution. I mean, how are we here almost 20 years later dealing with the same agreement? I mean, that's something that, you know, I just don't understand. So, but and this is me speaking, not as a commissioner, I think that there are some substantial things we can do to help public safety, right? We've tried to throw more police in neighborhoods. That hasn't worked. We tried to pull cops out of neighborhoods. That hasn't worked, right? The one thing we have not tried is to take the community, your voice, and ask you, what do you think we can do to make the neighborhood safer? What type of men and women should we hire in the profession, right? And then when we say, you know, I'll give you an example. Say we want to hire respectful cops, right? If that's a character trait that we want to have in our police officers, then we take that trait to our community and say, if our cops are going to be respectful, the community is going to be respectful. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, until we can address the community issues in conjunction with public safety reform, we're going to be back here again in 20 years, period. And that's all I'm saying. So, unless you got anything else for me, don't start tearing up.
No, he got nothing else for him, but let me say, he said he came from the project, and he just doing that because when he was a little boy, he couldn't get out I was looking at him in the window, and he couldn't come out that much.
Oh,
and so he can do that, but you know, let me say something about Booker coming from here on the north side. Coaching hockey right now. He was doing a meeting while he was on there coaching his team. But he left here. He went to school at North High. He graduated from North, went to college, and did all he had to do. He always wanted to be in law enforcement. That's why I got, even though I had bad relationships sometimes with law enforcement, I still got a love for what they do because it's a hard job to do. And so, but he didn't only do that. I didn't care about the police part. Is when he got his doctorate degree. That's what he gonna tell people. While he was doing the policing, and that's what we should tell our young kids. When he was doing the policing, he still went to school. And he's not just Booker Hodges, assistant commissioner. It's Dr. Booker Hodges, but people don't know. And he's gonna
Well, before I get done, I just want to say, you know, here's the deal. The budget session is on, and why it's important to have people in key positions. Everybody knows that the Department of Public Safety was able to distribute $8 million in COVID funds, which a lot of organizations were able to participate in, right? Had certain people not been in those positions, that more than likely wouldn't happen, right? So as we start talking about this money piece moving forward, it's really important to pay attention to the money, because we all know that when people say they don't have money, they're really saying they don't want that money for who? Us, right? And just fully understand that. And that's Booker speaking. I'm not speaking. So that's it.
Hey, so the next thing, and this is what I want to do, I want to make sure that y'all got time to talk to Majority Leader Winkler and CEO Glen Gunderson, President Gunderson of the Y. So what I want to do, I wanted them to meet y'all as an organization. Now, so it ain't, you get time after that. The better we do it, present your organization, and if you got your cards or something that you can give New, who's been fantastic, Majority Leader, in getting us to do this real quick. The more you do it, then you got time to talk to the Majority Leader or Glenn while we got this time. We got 1 hour, so let's do it right. I'm gonna start with our Safe Street because Glenn knows about our Safe Street partners, but I wanted Ryan to know, and we got a few on here, but I hope they mention the other ones one here, and we'll start with Trey Pollard with We Push for Peace. This is a guy that's creating jobs, not just on the ground, but he's creating jobs while he's doing it. And if you can come and give a couple of minutes about your organization, Trey, and then after that, we'll go Mickey, and we'll go Pastor Yates, and do it in Mother's Love. I ain't forget you, Donna. You taking pictures. You take the pictures. I did forget you. You know, just a couple of minutes.
You can stand up here until I just put it on my How much I got?
Come on. You said you just said you was gonna act right.
I am.
Virtual town hall meeting in North Minneapolis of Minnesota Safe Streets, being hosted by Al Flowers and Minnesota Safe Streets. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. Safe Streets some time ago because I simply understood that the magnitude of the work that needed to be done, and I knew I couldn't do it by myself. And so that's my motto. Minnesota Safe Streets of Mother's Love, 8 to 18, COY, God Squad, Salem Inc. These organizations are not just boots on the ground organizations. These organizations provide other services in our community as well. And so while I have had many occasions where I partner with law enforcement, I make sure that people know that I do stand with law enforcement. Again, because I feel as though oftentimes people take moments to divide and conquer, whereas that I take this moment to try to bridge these gaps in which I know is plaguing my community in which I live, right? I'm gonna give you some statistics right quick. Since January 1, 90% of gun violence is blacks. The gunshot victims, 90% is black. So the question is, why do we have to fight so much for resources when you know directly what the problem is? So instead of fighting for those resources, I asked the Lord to open up doors for me, and that's what he did. I opened an employment and training center. I got contracts with Cub Foods, Whole Foods now. I myself have hired 42 men in the last 4 months with my organization alone. That's not to say the kids that's come through the center, Minnesota Avenues, Youth Shelter, North Minneapolis, Brooklyn Center. I've gotten 37 of those kids hired. Where I'm falling short is I don't just want to get them a job, I want to try to get them a career. That's where the resources fall short for me. When they come in my center, and I start getting to know these kids and some of the things that they go through, one of the things that I want to provide for them is a mental health assessment, because that's what you see. You don't see a bunch of kids that's out there with drugs and alcohol. You got a bunch of kids that's out there trying to feel better about themselves that they don't understand. So being a partner with Minnesota Safe Streets, I know that I can call Reverend Yates. I know that I can call Lisa from A Mother's Love. I know that I can go over the river and assist Mickey from 8 to 18, because again, collectively, this is the way we're gonna bridge these gaps, right? And every last one of us stand with law enforcement. Every last one of us. No questions, no debates. It's sometimes disheartening. Sometimes it's like, just on my way over here, I applied for 5 grants. Again, falling short because I'm not able to provide the services that I really want to be able to provide. And I got denial letters for all 5 of the grants. But every last one of the organizations that's giving them out is the ones emailing me and calling me and asking me to, can you come help us down here? Can you come help us over here? Can you come help us do this? So while it's an uphill battle and we got an opportunity to really create a platform to make some significant changes, at the end of the day, the resources is very important. Period, point blank. And ain't no easy way to say that. And I'm saying that from this perspective as well. Out of 84 murders that happened in Minneapolis and St. Paul last year, we assisted Minneapolis police and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department being a buffer between the community and law enforcement so that they can actually just do their job. We was at 61 murder scenes last year. So, again, resources is very important. especially for the organizations that's out here doing the work. Thank you guys for my time.
Next, Representative Winkler, like I said, Glen has met these guys. Mickey Frost with 818, he's in St. Paul, and that's to say about how we are taking it across the river, trying to work together, whether here or in Brooklyn Center, and Brother Mickey Frost, who's a mainstay.
Thank you guys for having me. My name is Makai Lewis Frost. It's actually pronounced Makai, but you call me Mickey. That's good. I've been Mickey all my life too. So, what I have is the 818 Truth Center over in St. Paul. So what I did was I took it, created a safe space where I wanted to be able to let these kids have somewhere they can go. When they come outside, I want to give them a place where they can go and be taught some things like community awareness, health and wellness. We got conflict resolution training. We got depression and suicide prevention training. You know, just a safe space where these kids can be. I recently just opened up East Side Truth Center that May 1st we'll be doing the grand opening to that over on the East Side. So we're spreading. We're trying to spread around. We're trying to get a over north location where we can be able to do the same thing. You know, bridge the gap between Minneapolis and St. Paul and what's going on with these kids. My story is a little bit different. You know, I sat and I watched, you know, Trey and, you know, Coy and, you know, Brother Al and Lisa and all this time I've sat back and watched how we've all been able to take what we've all come up off of, and that's that sense of being able to say, we'll take a loaf of bread and some bologna and pack of sandwich meat, and we're going to make it work for all of us, despite the powers that be want to play with us with the money that they want to scrutinize us if they want to give it to us. Because we all know that at the end of the day, we get magnified on any little piece of money that is given to us, but our track record ain't nowhere close to whose track record really shows who messes up most of the money in these communities. But we are the ones that if we get anything, read some of the comments that happens after they show us getting anything. It's enough to make you say, you know what, man, y'all take that money back. I don't want that. If that's how y'all look at me, I don't want that, because you know what it kind of makes me believe that maybe we've been approaching this thing all the way wrong. Maybe we've been so worried about trying to make sure us blacks are straight and us blacks understand. Well, we may not be the ones with the problem after all. We might need to start pouring some of these resources into what makes y'all this angry, what makes y'all feel the way that y'all feel about us, to where y'all can forgive and forget and let us all live in unity together. Maybe that is a problem that if we can start to let y'all know that we are all human, then maybe y'all understand, hey, we do need some of those resources. But if we don't end up getting none of those resources, guess what? I'm going to do what I've always done. Just fight to do it on my own. I'm not going to be that one that's going to stand up in front of these legislatures' faces and these politicians' faces and sit there and beg, because I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to, and none of y'all should have to stand up and tell these people, man, master, we need this, help us. Because if y'all wanted to help us, then y'all would do that. But that's not what the aim is, because you can't convince me that if it was 85 or 65 white kids getting murdered over summertime, that y'all would have to be fighting for resources. I'm not believing that.
Talk about it, Mick.
But that's what we have to do. And until the powers that be can learn to look at each other and say, man, give them people a shot. Let's stop handcuffing this man with something that's theirs. You know, because in all my history books, everything that I've seen, it said, and I could be wrong, that the Indians was here and everybody else came. So this is just as much as ours as it is yours. Y'all came, we helped us build it, we built it together. It wasn't none of y'all, so quit telling us we foreigners, and y'all's foreigners too. If you be honest about it. So my thing is, I'm going to continue to work with Safe Streets. I thank you, Al. Thank you, Rich. I thank you so much for going against the grain, finally. To be able to stand up and say, you know what, man, I might get scrutinized from some of my co-workers and my constituents, but man, I'm gonna get an underdog a shot. I want to thank Booker because Booker, I was part of that grant that he reached out and fought for. That out of $8 million, they managed to say, here goes 60,000 for y'all. You know what I mean? Here goes 60,000 for y'all. That we gonna make sure that we watch every penny and y'all, you know, do everything y'all supposed to for that 160. But I thank you for that because you know what? Them kids managed to take that money and eat, have fun, be at the center, and do what they were supposed to do with that money. And I thank them so much. Because with me and my organization, I can guarantee this, Trey's organization, Coy, and all the Mother's Love, at the end of the day, we gonna fight for our people regardless if y'all don't give us any money. We still gonna give our people money. So with that being said, thank y'all for having me. Thank you so much, Mr.
Majority leader.
Majority leader. I'm sorry, I'm bad with that.
He don't even know what.
I know that Winkler. I ain't gonna forget Winkler.
Next person coming up, majority leader Winkler, and to Glen, because Glen, they never heard of Pastor Yates. He's also a pastor of Greater Mount Nebo, but he wants the organization Coy centered on youth, and he got one of his guys, John P. Now they've been doing this a long time, trying to save our people. So I think Pastor Yates, and he also will express. Pastor McAfee is in Michigan. Reverend Smith is at the Minnesota State Baptist. So it's your floor, Pastor Yates.
Again, thank you all for having us here, and thank you all for being here and being present in our community. My group is called COY, which is centered on youth. COY, which is centered on youth, and we've been around for about 18 years. We actually started under Spike Moss and Jerry McAfee about 20 years ago when they were, Saving Mink was really the only group that was walking back and forth into North Minneapolis doing crime prevention, helping trying to curb violence. But most Brother Mickey and Brother Trey have really covered a lot of the things that we're doing. So not to repeat a lot of that, but what I'm glad to see finally, instead of our groups have been working individually, most of doing our own things in our own sector, we've all came together and unified as one. And now that we're all up under Safe Street organization working together, we're just letting you know the powers be are us. So we are those powers be for our community. What a lot of you guys never knew is that you guys never really knew how to speak to our people. We've actually been where they are, and we thought what they're thinking, so we understand them. So while you guys are talking about you don't even understand what they're going through and what they're doing, we understand them because we are who they were. So we're just glad to be here. We're thankful to God that God has made a movement to bring us all together, work towards what we need to get. One of the things when we talked about the resources, I never knew anything about the resources. This was just part of the way I live. Part of my transformation and things that I needed to do in life was just reach back and help our people. When we found out about who was getting the money for what we was doing, that's what became the problem for us because we never saw any of you all that was out there getting the money. So the resources are things that we need. So we do need resources to better ourselves and then to be in the positions that we need to be. I can go on and on, but there's more people to speak. But I want to thank you all for allowing us to have an opportunity to present our organizations to you all. Thank you very much.
Next, Lisa is out of town, but she Ryder died partner Donna is here, and she'll speak on behalf of a Mother's Love and just say some things about Mother's Love. And I see she brought a printout, so that's a great thing. And I'll say again, if you got your cards or some kind of if you got something that you can leave with New, know how it is with the reps. If you leave, so you can have that contact, so you can be on this list. Make sure you get your information down one way or the other. Write it on paper. Do what you do. Go ahead, Donna.
Good evening, everyone. I am Donna Morris. I am the program director for A Mother's Love. A Mother's Love was founded in 2014 as a call to action that brought together women, African-American women, mothers, to look at the issue of violence, how it was affecting our children, how it was affecting our homes, and how it was affecting our communities. We work not only with the African American mother, but we work with the entire family. So our team, which recently grew to 21 members, is full of men and women from all backgrounds. Whether you have been incarcerated before, you have been addicted before, we represent the community because we literally are the community. 90% of our team lives right here or was lived and raised right here in North Minneapolis. I think I am one of the few that makes that journey from St. Paul over the river to come partner and do the work of community. What has been a pleasure, what has been an honor is to be a part of the collaborative with Trey from We Push for Peace, with Makai from 8 to 18, with Pastor Yates from COI, and the rest of the members of this team, with Alicia from Corporate Neighborhoods. It is important that if this work is going to last, two things happen. That this collaborative can be allowed to continue to grow, to bring in other organizations that are literally boots on the ground. When Trey says he was at 61 murders, we were at 61 murders last year. We provided, if I look over just the highlights, we served 172,000 people with food last year. We gave over 200 kids computers, 2,700 seniors food to keep them from coming out in the cold. We've been to numerous community funerals. Why? Because we're there to help keep the peace. We're there to help support those families. We are there to make sure those families have what they need, not just for the funeral, not just for the repast, but after everybody is gone and they're home alone and they're trying to figure out what their next steps are. Our community is suffering. Why? Because there are not enough resources in this community. My goal, I'm 58 years old. My goal was to work myself out of a job. I retired and got back to work because I can't work myself out of a job with the limited resources that we have that we're trying to do. Now, believe me, whether it's the $8 million or the 60 of that $60,000 of that $8 million we get, or if it's $175,000, or if it's $20, we're gonna make it work. We don't have a choice. Because we don't have a choice because if we stop, I would hate to see who y'all call. We work in partnership with the police. We don't work behind them. Yeah, we do work behind them because they got the shields and the bulletproof vests. This is a partnership. We have to learn how to do this dance together. It's a rhythm. It's community. It's the police. It's public safety. It's the why. That was the biggest partnership. I thank you, Al, for that, because that opens up the door to so many other resources for this collaborative. My hope is that when you go back to the state capitol and you look at the resources that are available, that you take a really good look at this community. Minneapolis, even though I don't live here, has become my home. I do more work here than I do in St. Paul. I get up every morning looking at my calendar, seeing what's on the schedule. Where do I need to be? Who do we need to partner with? That's important. I'm hoping that our partnership with the collaborative and the legislature that awards those funds becomes stronger. Because without resources, are we gonna stop? No. A Mother's Love started with nothing but 4 people. It's 21 people strong now. Not including the 10 to 20 kids that we hire every summer. Not including the people that we pick up along the way. How many lives have we saved on Broadway because they overdose, because there's not enough resources in this community? I hope that you take this back. I hope that you really seriously look at this community and say, this is what we need to do. This is a vital part of Minneapolis, right off the downtown. Thank you.
I'm here.
Next, before we get our mediation team, I got one more person, and I had to do this majority leader. I'm gonna wait till Makai. I'm gonna wait till Makai gets to giving his card. It is Makai, right? Yeah. I've been saying Mickey for 2 years, but hey, let me not get off track because I could get to going like that. Maybe the person I want to introduce is next coming up is from Emerging, is Will Wallace. I asked him to come to this meeting, Glenn and Majority Leader Winkler, discuss what he do. He hired young people. He's been doing it for the last 5-10 years, hiring young people out, most at-risk kids that you might not see, and he put them kids to work. And it's called the Northport program. I love it because he puts them young kids to work. I can send kids to him, and he gonna put them to work. And we'll come up and talk about Northport program for a minute.
First of all, thanks, Al. But 1987, I graduated from City Gang. Where you had Spider, Red, Sharif, Wrong, Farley, Lois Green, all of them brothers. And we still every day. Same conversation. Constantly getting cheated. Our babies constantly dying. But we constantly fighting over pennies. Better say you got a strong organization. 5 what application, all of them denied. Why? What's the problem? I know what the problem is. I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is, see, we got to learn how to act big. We can't act small no more. Well, I mean big, we need like 7.5 million. When you really looking at the budget, and you really saying you here to help us, because I haven't seen this. So in 2008, when we had the most homicide here in North Minneapolis, that's when I formed the Northport program to target the 4 neighborhoods, Farwell, Jordan, McKinley, and Hawthorne. Since then, there's been 300-some brothers come through that program. We only had 2 funerals. Since 2008, we formed that program. 300-some brothers come through that program. We only had 2 funerals. You know why? Organizations like this that's in here, they care, put their life on the line. Really can't even feed their family, but they put their life on the line. So I hope you sit in that seat. And I hope you take this real serious. That you'll see us again. Because if you look around the room, this is a heartbeat. Shit, if the heart stop, man, we in trouble. So you can't let the heart stop, man. So yeah, right there on Emerson, 1834. You see me all summer with them 12 young brothers. I'm talking, I got a brother in the program right now. Every time the police see him, they make him get out the car, and the first thing they tell him, lift up. We're dealing with those situations. I'm just saying, man, I can go on and on and on. But it emerged, it's not about the emerge, it's about me. Man, my name Will, but I do God's will. And I come from the South, man, Mississippi, man, didn't have shit. Nothing. I apologize, man.
Go ahead. Okay.
But I'm just saying the narrative got to change, man. It's got to change. The narrative got to change. Because why? All of our brothers and sisters have still fought for us to this day, and we still behind. If the narrative don't change, man, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Them young brothers, if you can't feed them, they're gonna be hollering at you. So we need money. Not no $60,000 somebody just said, come on, man. We need money. And so on top of that, programs, resources, and also at Emerge, man, we got reentry program for those who've been incarcerated that's coming out. We got workforce coaches, we got them all. So I welcome you. I welcome you to come on a Tuesday when we got a group, 13 young brothers, and we talking about life.
I come?
Yeah, you can come. Because I want you to hear that story. And on top of that, man, thanks, man. But we got, It's here. People's doing the work. We just need the resources. And let me say this about Al. Let me say this about Al.
You all right, boy, he all up on you. You all right?
But look,
No,
listen here.
that's all right.
Let me say something.
That's all right. Okay. Go ahead.
But see, let me say this about look, once Al used to come in rooms like this.
No, come on.
Come on, man.
Oh, man.
But look, we learned. Look, I learned because he's passionate for his people. Like Booker said, look at him now.
Hey, I said don't do this. You ain't got to tell Representative Majority Leader Winkler that he know anyway. I'm not fooling him. Don't think I'm fooling him. Don't think I'm fooling him. I ain't nothing. I'm not fooling him. And then when Mike see the tape, you know that's one of his friends. So Mike gonna say, because I'm sure gonna call him and say, look at that tape. No, he did great. But Jeff, I really want to emphasize what he said, and I wanted Glenn to hear that too, about the re-entry with Safe Street, with Minnesota Safe Street, about employment and the opportunity to employ. And that's one of our collective partners that's in there that haven't been told. That's part of the story about getting better fit within the social compact that you talk about, Glenn. So I look forward to that. Now, this is what I want both Majority Leader Winkler and Glenn to hear from. And the reason I say about this team that you're about to hear, and you'll see the veterans of mediation, but you'll see organizations, Representative Majority Leader Winkler. You'll see organizations, the American Indian Movement, our Latino former Civil Rights Commission chair is on this committee. We got Frank Paro with the American Indian Movement, Anita Urbina, former Civil Rights Commission chair, activist. You got Zach Montoya, a community activist. Me and him came up, we grew together. Then you got Mark Anderson of the Barbara Steiner Foundation about mental and behavioral health. And then you got Fahia Khalif, the Voice of East African Women. And you also got Alicia Smith over there, who's been a part of whatever I'm doing. She's been a part of it. We work together as a community. And then I don't want to, before I say that, because Pastor Beto will come up and we want to hear words. I want them to say when you go back to the state, that these organizations, these are not individual, these are organizations fighting to bring up our communities together, not to separate us. And we don't have the resources. That's why I didn't want them to talk about resources, but they're going to talk about them. They need resources, and then they looking at Ryan like he got the bag right now. And so I know, so it's all right though. It's funny to me, but I want, and then I want to talk about Mark Anderson and Monica, who's been a part of stuff we're doing. John Cena works with Coy. I want to make sure everybody gets here. My friend Amber back there. I see, how you doing, and just to introduce everybody. But I want to talk about our young people too. I want to talk about AJ back there. I want to talk about Alexis Barham, them people, and then Anthony McMorris, who's the young people. We're the mediation team, but we got a young people task force that's working with them. So if we can, even though we can social distance, can the whole mediation team come up here and stand behind Representative?
You're the community mediation thing. We are diverse. Everybody come up.
Yeah.
I don't speak. I was asked to be
okay. Go ahead.
And I was asked to come back on board.
Okay.
Come on.
The mediation team.
Come on.
And yeah, because I want to hear from Anita and Frank.
Yeah, you can hear from everybody.
Yeah. Y'all get it.
Al's on it too, so don't let him fool you. He's on it too.
Come in, stand here with you, Frank.
Stand up there. Come
on. And then, come on. We are co-chairs. Now listen, We went to the governor, and told the governor that we are about reform, transformation within the police department. We went to the governor and told the governor what we're doing is now statewide and also globally. Globally, we are the epicenter. The changes that will happen here in Minneapolis will happen statewide. It's global. We frankly went to the governor in good state. Did we not, frankly?
We did.
Not protesting. And that there must be reform, accountability, and transformation. That's what we're about. This fool stuff about defunding, no. The Black community need police. That's what we about. Decades of work, decades. And I gave you the package from Mark, decades of work. Now we're back, not just because of George Floyd, but because of what's needed. And you got a Black chief, and you got 3, I call them the 3 musketeers in the city council. That's why we got over 600 shootings and stuff in our community, because they said that people think there's no more police. The Unity Community Mediation Team works daily, no pay at all. Now, one mistake we made, and I honor it, when Booker told me from the last chief, when we signed that memorandum of agreement, put the youth in. Zach, what did you say we do this time? We have a generational agreement, and the hallmark of what the Unity Community Mediation Team is doing now is with the youth task force. So that we don't have to come back here in this center and speak to you, Majority Leader. So it is now done. It must be generational. We are amending the agreement. Chief Arredondo, that's the police department, is with us. We're now going to meet. Crow gone, right? Who? Crow gone. And so now the youth are leading us to meet with the Federation. The Federation signed the agreement. And so we're not back. We never went away. But what I want you to say, even to the Republicans who playing games with the money, be war police. Anita, come on.
Anita, everybody come up the words, and then because we want to bring the young people up after y'all.
I was born and raised in North Minneapolis.
Where's EJ?
Lived here 67 years. That's how old I am. I work with the Latino community. I come from a community where there were a lot of families from Mexico. They were what we call compadres, friends to my parents. Grew up here. These are my streets. These are my people. This is my home. I became active in human rights because my mother told us we are all human. And that's the bottom line. We're not different people from different countries, different colors. We're human. God made us all the same. I've been working with human rights and civil rights after I witnessed the riots on Plymouth Avenue. I was 12 years old, and I was deeply affected by it. And since then, like I said, I'm 67. I'm still working for human rights. Now I asked the chief, I said, I did this first time 20 years ago for my children. Now I do it for my grandchildren. And I'll tell you what I told the police. Please don't make me come back and do it for my great-grandchildren. It stops here. We make changes. In the Latino community, I was just telling Reverend Bethel on the way in, I'm working with a group of young women and men in South Minneapolis. They meet weekly talking about the police. My community doesn't trust the police. There's no trust. There's fear besides no trust. So they don't go to the police. Had a story this weekend about a woman who was involved in South Minneapolis on Lake in a hit and run. To report, she was afraid. She finally was talked into going to the police because she was hurt and needed to make a police report for hospital payments. 2 months have gone by. 2 months. And she hasn't heard anything back from the police. She meant to make the initial report, and she's still waiting 2 months later for the police to contact her and complete the report. This is why the Latino community don't go to the police. This is why they don't trust the police, because they don't feel that they're getting service. So my role with the Unity community is trying to take away that fear and bring some trust. And so that's part of the work that I do as a Latino Unity community member. Thank you.
Each person that speaks, just announce your name for the camera.
Well, thank you, Representative Majority Leader Winkler. And as you can see, Unity Community Mediation is a combined of a community that you see African Americans, Somali, the African immigrants, Latino community, the natives, the LGBT community. We have everybody come together and a force to say we're going to fight together and what's happening in our community. Everybody talked here. Everybody let you know the struggle that we are going through in our community. But what I want to tell you is we have a bill that is going to be heard this Friday. It's going to be in front of you. That bill is HF 723. And I really appreciate you because you have supported this bill. You endorsed this bill. And as African immigrants and African American community, I want to say, because this is a policy that needs to be changed in the state of Minnesota. When it's a young black man getting in the car, maybe he went on to smoke the marijuana, and that marijuana got him in the car, and the police just target him because he's a black man driving in America. He pulled over, just like that, is being killed. But there's a policy needs to be looked at the traffic stop and taillights. I don't know if you guys have that policy, but this something needs to be looked at it. And I hope that you will consider something that it can come from in the body of the legislature. But this bill, HF 723, that's going to be heard this Friday at 10:30 a.m. is combined with Safe Street. And I just want to say my name is again Raheel Khalif. I'm with Voice of East African Women. I'm the executive director of Voice of East African Women. This bill was brought in front of the body of the legislature. The Republican did not support it in 2019. And I really appreciate you guys did include the omnibus bill in 2019, and it's coming back again this year. Save the Street is on the ground, every day fighting for the community, the mother's love, like you heard earlier. Voice of East African Women, as African immigrants, this is really, like my brother over there said earlier, all of them, Nikki, my brothers all said, this is just like ain't nothing changed. Every day we're talking about this. We really want you to consider this bill, it passes. We will fight with you along with the Republicans. All I want to add to that is please support House File 723. It's on the agenda on Friday at 10:30 a.m. Thank you.
I'll be brief because I want to hear from Frank. But I work on behavioral health. Barbara Schneider died in a police call 20 years ago. She was living at 31st and Hennepin, South Minneapolis, 2 master's degrees, 50-year-old lady, had a severe mental illness. She thought the Satan Squad was trying to kill her. She'd been diagnosed with cancer. Same cancer her mom died of when she was an infant. Police knocked at the door because a neighbor called about a noise complaint. She had radio on. So he had 5 cops in the little apartment with this 50-year-old lady. They thought, this is no big deal. They wound up shooting her and killing her in her own home. That's how I got involved in this work. What I want to say is, I mean, you've heard all the truth we need to give you today. I just want to say this one thing: behavioral health trauma. It's about trauma, abandonment, neglect, abuse, are called adverse childhood experiences. They cause lifelong consequences for people. We've abandoned, we've neglected, we've abused whole communities in our city. That's what you're hearing about today. It's not just about dollars, it's about neglect and abuse. That's what's going on. And so the behavioral health piece is part of the solution. We need to heal. We all need to heal. Somebody said, you know, it's their problem. It's the white cops' problem. It's the white people problem. It is. We have to all deal with our own reality. So thanks for letting me speak for a minute.
My name is Frank Carroll. I'm the National Director of the American Indian Movement. You might have heard of my predecessor, Clyde Belcourt. Founder, only remaining founder of AIM. I'm soft-spoken. I don't get in your face. In 1973, during Wounded Knee occupation, I escaped from a correctional facility in Minnesota before the Wounded Knee. I got caught the next day. I didn't make it. Me and two Indian brothers got caught. But we beat the charges. The deputies that arrested us never read us our rights. When he took us to the Pine County Jail, we were arraigned, went through the whole process. We ended up beating the charges. Anyway, the movement was formed because of the police brutality by Minneapolis Police Department. I was a alternate member of the PCRC, Community Relations Council. Last May, Clyde called me and appointed me. He stepped aside. He didn't retire. He stepped aside as the national director. And we announced it 2 days before Minneapolis police murdered George Floyd. What a nightmare for me. What a nightmare for George Floyd's family. What a nightmare for the world. It's tough for me to ask the state, the county, the government for money, for AIM to do what we have to do. For 53 years, we've never asked for federal money. It's our own money, because we're the ones that pay the taxes. That's where the damn government gets their money from. But this year, you know, I have to tell my people that we have to ask for this money. This Saturday, I was at a family function. One of my cousins told me, we're talking about the trial like everybody else is in the world is doing. Frank, you know, you got to tell your people to keep it down when the verdict comes through. What do you mean, tell my people that we have to keep it down? We're not the problem. I come from a multiracial family. I've got Hispanic sister-in-law, black brother-in-law, white brother-in-law, multiracial family. I looked at them and said, this is my white brother-in-law is telling me that I got to tell my people that we got to settle down. We're not the problem. And I mean, we. And I pointed to all my family members. I says, they're not the problem. You are the problem. We have never caused problems. The white man came over here and caused problems. The white man brought blacks over as slaves and caused problems. The Latinos, they never caused problems. So how can you sit there and tell me we are the problem? The American Indian movement has never created a problem in this country or in this world ever. We've always reacted. Yes. We've taken on the United States government. Yes. Sir, get them damn Republicans to give us some money.
And other folks here,
I'm gonna be real brief. I'm gonna be real brief. I'm gonna tell you like it is. It's a lot wrong. When we have a Minnesota gang strike force that gets busted by the federal government for wrongdoing, and yet and still the post board does not revoke their license to operate as a peace officer in the state, it's a problem. When we have a Minnesota Department of Human Rights that tries its best to function with the budget that they have, try to function with the legislation that they have, the powers, but it's not there. We need more. We got to help to get them empowered. We've been meeting with them as well. Like he told you, we work every day. It's a full-time job. And we are all professionals. So our time is valuable. I'm going to give you this. And I'm going to give you two things. First thing is, this room is full of poster children. They could have went in another direction because they had two things, they turned their lives around. They had opportunity and they had mentorship. They got those two elements together and turned their lives around, and now they are affecting even more so in their community. And I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of my brother Al. I'm proud of Mickey. I'm proud of all of them because I know all of them. I'm proud of Lisa Clemens. She's not here, but her representative is here. I'm proud of them. They are poster children. I'm proud of AJ over there. Even though if he'd have went the other direction as Dan and I probably would have. Yeah. But that's the one thing. Here's the other thing. I'm going to leave this just as food for thought. Just as food for thought. Because I'm a numbers person. Always have been. And if anybody wants to challenge me on what I'm about to say, we can bring the numbers together. The Minnesota Humane Society. This is the society that takes care of animals. The Minnesota Humane Society, their budget, overall budget in the state of Minnesota is 15 times that then goes to all communities of color. So while we have a Minnesota Department of Human Rights, we don't have the rights that animals do when it comes to being cared for and being entrusted to better ourselves. And I'm going to leave you with that. But check the numbers.
After this last group I want, and it's supposed to end like that. I asked AJ and Lexi, Alicia, to come up here, Farham, come up here, and then come on up, Lex. You up here now, Lex. It's y'all turn. And you see, come on, yeah, well, he's video. Let somebody else hold the camera, because these people are working on the mediation. They working in the community on mediation. And I ain't gonna. And this is Al Jr. I'm not gonna give him a shameless plug, because I know he's running for city council in Ward 9, but I ain't gonna say that on here. I won't say it. Yeah, I won't. But these are Majority Leader Winkler and President Gunderson. These are the young people that they are backing up. And we got Cadra, Elena, and some of our other diverse communities ain't here. But these young people have been fighting this battle to try to do police reform. They came up with a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna let them, because I'm gonna let them do theirs, and then we're gonna have words from Majority Leader Winkler and President Gunderson. Glenn. I got, but the president, CEO of the Y, I'm gonna have them finish, get the last word. They'll get the last words to tell y'all. I mean, because it's a lot. I know they absorbed in it, and they absorbed a lot here. And and this is good stuff. But AJ is the co-chair on the mediation team, and then that baby there is my grandbaby.
So first off, I want to thank y'all for coming out here. As you said, I'm the co-chair on our Young People's Task Force, Young People's Task Force. And when my father first reached out to me and told me to be a part of this, I said, if I'm going to be a part of it, we got to make sure that the young people voices is actually being heard at the table. We got to make sure that young people is not just in these meetings, but they actually got a real valuable voice in these meetings. One thing about me, I've been fighting for a while. I started really fighting here when I was about 22, 23 years old. I've been around it my whole life, but I really started dedicating myself since I was 22, and I noticed that we would be at the tables, but we really wouldn't be able to get heard. We really wouldn't be able to get understood. We just would be talked around. And most of the issues that we're talking about right now, when we're talking about the children that we're talking about saving, most of the people we're talking about is young people, right? But you look around the room and the people that's speaking, we don't have enough young people in the representation. And that's one of the main reasons why I came into play, because we got to make sure we had it. I'm 28 years old. Most of our group is under the age of 30. That's what they say is young people now. So I always say I'm only 2 years away from being old, I guess, right? So it's the thing about this, what you see in this room, though, that I've always seen the problem of being around is that we always competing with each other. You know what I'm saying? Instead of us always competing and trying to find ways to compete and play around and play the backdoor games, we need to start collaborating. One of the main things I say, stop competing, let's start collaborating. So what we try to do with our Young People Task Force is to make sure that we're actually coming up with valuable solutions, working with our law enforcement department, working with our fire department, working with different departments to try to find ways where our young people's voice can be heard. I specifically told my niece to come up here because this is who I'm fighting for now. You know what I mean? These are my kids now that's out there in the street. These are our kids that's in our generation. That's 12, 13, 14. We know them. These are our people that's out there in there. So you have to take away from this. I didn't know this was to mean like you doing something wrong. So I'm not going to do it like that. But what I would say is when you go back, look at this room and look at the collaboration, because we don't get this too much in our community. One thing we always get is always us fighting. We don't get too many times where we got powerful organizations in their own right, whether you got Trey or Will or Coy or Unity Community Mediation Team, Mickey, my father, Mother's Love, Fahia with East African, with Voice of East Africans, but we got all these different communities willing to work together for this time, and we know we are the communities that's always been underserved and always never had the resources. So for me, it's just a great thing to be able to be in this setting and to see everybody working together and finding a way to really come up with these valuable solutions, because that's what's needed. And I'm proud to be a Young People Task Force co-chair. I wish my other co-chair was here with me. because what we're doing is so cool, and Will is helping us out too. And we just want you to consider, when you're looking at these, not just my group, not the Young People Task Force, look at all these young initiatives that's also going on when you're going through this process of finding different resources and funds to start trying to fund these young groups early so we can keep showing what a collaboration look like. And I just want to thank everybody else who's a part of the Safe Streets and who's a part of our Union Community Mediation team that came here, and also the YMCA, to change the narrative of what it looked like for young Black kids. Because the YMCA didn't serve young Black kids like they serve other people within the community. I know that within their program. So now they're going to be able to see that and see these groups in the collaboration. That's the biggest thing we're doing. Like I said, just lead with these words, not competing, just collaborating. And that's all I want to say. Oh yeah, I'm running for board now. You see, I have my logo sitting right here next to the AJ for Ward now.
I'm a trained politician.
You know, you see, I put it right there.
Yeah, I'll just say, you know, thank you all for being here. I get the honor of being in both seats because I'm over 30 but under 40, so I fall right in the middle. So I get the pleasure of working with everyone. And so I just enjoy the work. It's hard work, but it's necessary work. And the absolute collaboration is what will change the narrative, not only for Minneapolis and St. Paul, but for the state. And will go on to being a model for other states across the U.S. as we see violence plaguing lots of inner cities. And so it's an honor to serve beside all of these folks. So I thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, Anthony Morris Rice. I'm one of the kids that they was fighting for. You know, my mom passed away when I was 15 years old, drug overdose off of heroin. I was there when it happened. And throughout that time, from 15 until I want to say 26 years old, I got into a lot of trouble in the streets. Put on probation for a BB gun that I didn't even carry. And from that time on, just being harassed by the police and also making bad decisions as well because I felt like nobody cared for me. I never had therapy, youth therapy counseling. I never had a place I could go and feel safe from nothing. It was strictly go to JDC Hennepin County, go to Boys Total Town, go to Red Wing, then eventually I went to prison. And I'm here today to say that I changed. It's been about 4 years now since I've been out. And I'm just trying to do what nobody did for me other than the people that was boots on the ground. I didn't know that when I was growing up, I thought everybody had money, you know, because everybody carried themselves well. But now looking back at it, they was all broke. It was coming out of their own pockets. So, you know, they made being broke look good because, you know what I'm saying, they wanted the kids to thrive. And so they sacrificed themselves for the better of the community. And so now I want to give back, and that's what I've been trying to do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
You want to say something? And then the last one, I'm introducing, I'm trying to hold up the last Majority Leader Winkler, Glenn Rich, because she the one, her and New and Paul, we got together, we did this in a few days, we pushed the envelope, and I'm telling y'all to have the Majority Leader here to come here to us and do it in that kind of a time and to hear your cry, This was a big deal. It's a big deal to me. I can't feel it till I get back home and say, and then I get the calls and they say we did well. You know, when I get them calls saying it's okay, and what y'all take out of it is important. But Alexis is like executive assistant with Minnesota Safe Street, helping getting it together. I'm not an easy person because I tell you 30 things. Hey, we got to get all this done, and I'll drive them, and it will drive them crazy. You know, because I'm all over the place. Just trying to get it done. But she was, she's a part of the task force. And you want to say a couple of words, Alexis? Go over here so you'll be on the camera. Because I want to.
I'm Alexis. I'm here making this change. Just after hearing everybody, the tiredness, just you don't have these same situations like play out time and time again. I'm definitely ready to make this change. I definitely think we need more representation within the police department and our streets. People that come from our community, protecting us. And that's it. Like I said, I'm here to change.
So say on behalf of the young people, thank you. Say on behalf of the young people, thank you. Just because it's me, not yeah, not run right up. I mean, maybe I have no water. I have no water.
Yeah, that's who's always harassing you when you're on the phone. Huh?
Yeah, everybody.
Girl.
She called Governor Walls one night, and the governor said, "Well, he called me and she said, right now I'm on YouTube." She told him I'm on YouTube. He texted and said, "When she get off YouTube, get the phone." Hey, hold it, 1 second. Now we at the end. Hold up, 1 second. 1 second. At the end, here we have the last few minutes. I'm gonna ask Majority Leader Winkler and Glenn to come up and y'all come up and say what y'all feel and get it out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the last one, Glenn, you want to come up together?
Well, I defer to the representative. Go ahead, and I'll just say it again.
Well, all right. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight to talk to me about the work you're doing. And I want to just reflect back some of the things that I've been hearing. First of all, I know that you are doing this because it has to be done, and you feel a sense of responsibility and love for the people in your community. You see that, you feel that. I hear when you're fired up, it's because you care, right? It's not because you don't care, it's because you care. And you're here and you're doing the work because it matters. And you want to make a difference and you want to make the future better than it has been. You need help with money. The state has a lot of money. We're going to be making decisions in the next 2 months over $60 billion. That's what passes through the state this year. And so we recognize that as a state, we have not served communities equally. In fact, we have in many cases made deliberate decisions to serve Minnesotans unequally. And we recognize we need to change it. It isn't easy to make that change happen. We are dealing with a political reality of Republicans in the Senate who control one chamber, and we can't get anything done without their agreement. I am hopeful that this is a year where we can start investing in communities and organizations that are doing the work in a real way. And I'm hopeful that that can happen this year because everyone is looking for solutions that are exactly what you've been doing. A recognition of the need for an effective law enforcement, an effective meaning serving the community that they are supposed to be serving. Everybody recognizes the need to include voices and to include organizations, include people on the ground that build trust and have trust in the community, because it cannot be imposed from the outside. It has to come from the community itself. And we all know that we cannot continue as a state. We cannot let our major city, in St. Paul, we cannot let the division, the violence, and disorder continue. We have to come together and solve these problems. It's necessary for the whole state to do that. So I am hopeful that things have changed. I also do not want to leave you with a sense that I can go back to the state capitol and make a decision and it happens. But I can go back to the state capitol and advocate on your behalf, work with my colleagues, try to make sure that when we're putting together a budget that deals with public safety, that we are talking about the whole community. And that's what I'm committed to doing for you, more importantly, with you and with your partners at the State House. So I'm going to take that with me back. I'm committed to it, and I want to come back. And if I'm not disrupting, I'd like to join your group. I'd like to hear directly from these kids. I don't live very far. You know, in Minnesota, we don't know each other. If we didn't go to high school together or grade school together, we don't get to know each other. We all live in our little world, right? And so I don't live very far away. I want to know this community better because it is our future together requires us to have relationships and understand each other and see each other, and I want to do that, make a concerted effort to do that, be that. So I see this as a beginning of a longer term commitment and relationship.
And then I just want to say, Majority Leader Winkler, now we were supposed to have, this ain't supposed to be the big meeting. Now we still got a big meeting coming up with you. This was supposed to be, Paul, it was supposed to be like 15 people, and y'all said, but y'all wanted to see y'all majority leader, so I couldn't do nothing about it, Paul. I didn't have no security.
I'm happy to meet again. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying to y'all. I'm gonna make sure we, as the COVID things, as it open up more, that we'll do something to set it up and bring it back to the.
Yeah, can I just introduce Paul Cummings? Works for me. He's the executive assistant at the State House. And New Bang is my legislative assistant, and so we're bringing our folks to this, and so make sure that we have contact information. We want to continue this discussion and see what we can do.
Hey, we want to thank Insight News and Glenn. You want to close us out? Thank you, Al, and Insight News. Can we thank you? Can everybody holler? Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al. Hey, thanks everyone. It was really cool to meet the mediation team. Moved by everything you shared. Thank you to Pastor Yates. Thank you to Trey. Thank you to Mackay. Thank you to Will. Thank you to our Mother's Love, and the young people. Al Jr., that is what this is about. We cannot afford to lose another generation. This is the time. Now is the time for us to make this happen. And thank you, Representative. We look forward to working in collaboration. We heard the young people say it. We're not competing anymore. We're going to collaborate. So, Al, I'm so indebted to you. I'm so proud of our ability to partner. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Al. Yeah.
This is the real community. This is the real deal. These are the people who put us on. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. It's a wonderful and important community evening. People in the neighborhood being real, being together, talking about what matters. How do we make our community safe? How do we make our community workable? How do we get the resources we need to advance the interests of our community? How do we make sure that our voices matter? And this meeting is an example, a demonstration of the ongoing work for community empowerment in our community. This is the Minnesota Safe Streets organization, breaking up now an hour and a half of people committed to sharing their stories, their ideas, projecting the idea of collaboration, competition, connecting with the leader of the House of Representatives for the state of Minnesota, the majority leader, Representative Brian Winkler, and you heard from the leader of the YMCA of Minneapolis of the North, YMCA of the North, Glen Gunderson. Obviously, all here in support of the vision and work of Al Flowers and the organization Minnesota Safe Streets. Well, if you like this program, we're going to do more of the same. Real-time examination of the process of democracy, the process of community happening right here, right now. We'll see you next time. I'm Al McFarlane with this conversation with Al McFarlane. Share this, tell people about it. We're back regularly talking about building community, changing the narrative, creating a future in which we win. Thank you and good night.